page at a time.
Or not just
Teach her to believe. Okay, dokie. So we're back. We're back. This notepad, for those of you who are just coming, is primarily that you have interest to attend, in part, the retreat that I'm leading here in Ubud, November 19th to 24th, just to explain that it's a follow-through with a lot of what we're doing here, but about 25 layers further. You get a chance to actually be in a meditative practice. You get a chance to luxuriate for long periods in a day, being in silence with other people. You get to practice mindful eating, speak. There's a sequence of 20 talks that I give throughout the 5 days, and equally a sequence of meditative instruction that, I say this with deep respect, it goes without mentioning that I, like you, will come and go. Words are words. What I have carried with me in my life beyond the people has not only been the meaning that I have viewed and felt in the word Dhamma, or Dharma, overcoming self-generated conflict, evolving beautiful states of feeling. But it has been the embodiment of the word meditation. I've often said, not new for me to say it, the most valuable idea, concept that I have experienced in my life is found in the word bhavana. It means meditation. I explained this last Thursday. B-H-A-V-A-N is the Buddhist Pali word, B-A-L-I, the language of the teaching of Dhamma attributed to the Buddhists today, mostly in South Asian countries. My background is Burma. Bhavana is the practice of transformational wisdom. What am I bringing to the forefront of my being? That is Dhamma-rooted, and its expression is in the application of that Dhamma, bhavana. When you use the word bhavana, it means that you are an individual devoted, dedicated, reverentially embodying of Dhamma as a lived experience. It's the vocation of meditation. Meditation is a little bit flat. It sort of implies sometimes I do it, a lot of the time I don't. When you hear the vocation of Dhamma, a plant never stops being a plant in process, potentially of the flowering one, of flowering. A being in vocation of the flowering of the Dhamma is one who is nurturing the opening of being through bhavana, meditation. So the word bhavana implies the way in which we self-nurture. Very important concept, very different if you can hear it than the word meditate. So flat. I meditate every now and again, but when I see my life more as the organic expression of beingness, analogous to being a plant, a tree, an ecosystem of mind and body in context a contributor to the evolution of life. Meditating is rather boring as a way to nurture existence. Yeah? Language is not everything, but it's very close to it. The way you hear it, the way you divide it, will manifest it. But, okay, how do I inspire myself to live in a meditative being? How do I live in organic expression of my beautification of mind? Bhavana is not meditation, but it's not meditation. But the better definition is the beautification of consciousness. Which means, on the one hand, the overcoming of self-generated conflict. On the other hand, the self-nurturing of beautiful states of mind. My color, dignity, authenticity, integrity, patience, passion, equanimity, loving kindness, empathy, gentleness, courage, ethical courage, spiritual intelligence, mindful intelligence, wonderment, adventure. We just added 10 more colors to the palette of transformation and wisdom called Bhavana. The living vocation of making my Dhamma the reason I am. Why would I ever give up breathing? Why would I ever give up Bhavana? Okay? Do you meditate? How can I meditate? I live in a meditative way of being. I may not do it really well, but my plant grows based on my ability to understand my light, my soil, my water, and my nutrients. Like we use colors on the palette, I encourage you. What is your light? What lights you up? Where is your oxygen? Breath work, you're breathing to release stored up anxiety, tension, and trauma, armored from childhood. You're breathing. Meditation is breathing into the nurturing of our awakening, our flower. It's a sustained, not breath work. Take the work out of it. It's called breath beautifying. So we're shifting medical, medicinal, and pharmaceutical models from consciousness. Done. We don't examine the darkness between the petals and the open flower. Dysfunctional psychology, deficit awakening. Oh, you fucking priest. The flower's not going to open with that energy. It opens because you understand how to nurture. I beg of you, see meditation as the act of self-nurturing, one. And the second expression of meditation is the application of interpersonal nurturing. Self and others. Meditation is 2 types. 5 postures. 6th is speech. Self and self and others. So meditation can be understood as all postures, standing, walking, sitting, reclining, bending, eating, everything in between is fine. Six is speech, and all contexts. So all posture, all time, all context, all states. So that's the meaning of Bhavana. And to simplify, what are the colors that beautify? Mindfulness intelligently allows us to inhabit, occupy, intimately be within a state of mind of our own choice. Choosing my word. 10 years ago, a friend of mine in one of my darkest periods of life looked at me, a loving being, an advanced spiritual being, a yoga teacher, and said, Alan, you look like shit. And I was like, this, I'm writing so much, you're gonna just fucking die hunched over. Look, you gained so much weight, what kind of shit are you eating? Look at how pasty you look. Like, come on, girl. And I felt like she wasn't even touching half of what I was not telling her. I was fully ensconced in pharmaceuticals, drug addiction again. I was completely into alcohol. I was doing a lot of marijuana. I was doing little sleep. Felt like shit, looked like shit, and I pretended to be okay. My point is that the purification became something I forgot. But still, as I overcame those habits, it was the choice to not participate in certain things, not just choosing beautiful states, but choosing to not participate in denigrating states. So I beg of you to remember equally, which you know, what are you doing in your life that you could stop doing? And learn a method. I don't know how many people in the room indulge in things that you think are marginal or questionable or consider somewhat secretive, whether it be you're a hoarder, you've got excessive cash and act as if you're poor, you're a sex addict, you're a nicotine addict, you're a drug addict, you're on some kind of pharmaceutical drug you want no one to know about except that you know that you look back. I won't even ask if you're an antidepressant. It's okay. But sometimes you just want to know that you can stop. I was really a cigarette addict for a long time. I was saying it, this woman knows yesterday. One of my minor secrets, when I gave up living in the West and ordained as a monk, I gave up all kinds of drug addiction, except that when I got to the monastery, I started to smoke opium to transition. I didn't know it, but I had to look on the monastery ground to find cigars that I knew were laced with opium because they were made in Burma. And at the end of a meditative day of 20 hours, the only way I could self-medicate and go to sleep was the anxiety of being there with no head, no sex, no masturbation, no music, no friends, no English was so intense. I had to beautify the old. I'm not suggesting go black and white with your life. I'm suggesting beautify whatever you think is shameful. Only you know what you're not telling yourself and telling your friends. When you take an antidepressant, do it so elegantly, so beautifully. Look at it. Make it sacrament. It took me 6 months to stop smoking once. And I did it by taking a chair in Paris and I made it my smoking chair. Because the habit of addiction was that anything I wanted to do, anytime I wanted to do it, I just cigarettes were my best friend. But now I interrupted that and I said, the only way you're going to smoke is in a chair. And I did it like we did in the monastery, mindfully. I'd look at those cigarettes, go wanting, like slow. There's one thing that I've seen valuable in my life. It's to retreat from eyes. Eating. Women know this intimately well. Slow down. Intimacy, slow down. Sexuality. And now. What's the great headlong rush into the crematory? What's so hard to get over today to get back to the one of the great hoaxes of the criminal organism that somehow is in the future. Meditation, having a retreat environment, gives you a chance to sit, kind of just hanging. And sometimes the things that we think of as so dark and impossible to challenge, like an addiction, alcohol, sex, food, money, fear, the future, being without, attitude, waste, high, whatever it is that we do that we don't do, is just being supportive and chilling out, slowing down. Slowing down. I would smoke that cigarette. I don't believe you overcome addiction as much as you beautify it. I don't want to be in recovery my whole life. I don't want to be saying I'm 30 years in recovery. I want to say I'm 30 years in music. And I've had 16 lapses into semi-music. So the beautification of the mind, bhavana, is whatever it is that you humanize, investigate that. Look in the mirror, get naked, and validate your body. Don't let meditation do it. Put your eye contact on you. Who taught you to judge the shape of your fucking nose? It's a conditioned habit. Who taught you to judge the shape of your hands? They are exactly the way God and Dharma and life made them to be. Comparison is the issue, not your hands. That kind of dysmorphia is culturally based. Meditation allows you to authenticate yourself. So my point here is slowing, waiting. We're coming to the end here. Is there something that's better than meditation? Yeah. And this woman kind of pointed to it. I am just doing it. That's what I heard. I'm not sure that's what she said, but I'm hearing it now. I'm just doing it. Experiment. I am in just do it. But the moment is one thing, but what we do in that moment is very interesting. I've asked people for years, what's missing in your life? And most everyone says, I want someone to be in love with. I want self-love, but I really want to have it reflected in someone in my life, in my eyes. That means really having to walk around in chemistry rather than seek chemistry. Be the freedom that you seek, that kind of thing. And so a lot of the time, I find that people hide their best and their most beautiful expression of being. I don't know about you, but being in the moment is one thing, practicing beautification of the mind is one thing, but take the word practice out of it and be in the most alive expression of your newness, your innovative poetry that you can imagine doing. Be center stage wherever you be. What do I mean by that? Let me close with this. We have a little bit of time at the end. My mentor, Aung San Suu Kyi's mentor, 91 years old now. His name is Wu Tin. Of all things, he was the general of the army of Burma. It comes back to Nick's play. And a little bit of heights before I cut her off. Sorry about that. He was arrested playing golf with the dictator boss of his way back. He was a general of the army. He even been to the White House in America. Not a word was said. They put him in solitary 5 or 6 years. He was released within 2 days. He came to the monastery where I was a monk. He was given a room near mine in Wrangler. And with fanfare he came, and soon he was left, ordained. And some of the first conversations that he had and that I had had, that I was in silence, were with this man who explained to me life in solitary confinement, which I kind of felt that I was as well. What it meant to be a general, what it meant to be a natural born killer. He killed many people in his life as an army soldier. He had 9 wounds on his body. He traveled to take up his sleeve, fill bullet holes, bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole. A veteran of World War II. But he was a general under a dictator. You know what that means? You are the man who implements what the dude wants, not pretty. So he explained to me, which is something extremely foreign, the psychology of fascism, the psychology of authoritarianism, the psychology of dictatorship, and some of the machinations of indoctrination. How do you get people to do what is against their best interest and corrupt and coerce them into that behavior to the point where they're willing to do it willingly, and even to conscript other people in that aberrant behavior to serve the need of the people. I went, wow, that's really compelling. And I began to think, here I am in a monastery with about 1,000 people, and we're all kind of in obedience to this person that we don't know, called the Buddha. I'm going like, wow, that's a real big brother, isn't it? It's like, we're all told to sit, we're all told to watch our breath. And we're going like, we're believing these scriptures that no one knows who wrote them except this great fiction in the sky where there's no signature on them. There was not even a written page until a couple of 100 years ago. And there was on script somewhere in Sri Lanka. And the more I thought about it, it was like, is I like being conscripted into a kind of benevolent fascism? Is religion just as it's been said, the opium of a few psychedelically driven rebel artist Americans at the time? I began to really see, is it possible that I had been conscripted into some of these psychologies that I was unaware of? So it was a very fascinating discussion. But more to the point, he talked to me about how culture in Burma lived under what was called a terror state. And I didn't really hear the term. Amnesty popularized it for many years, called Burma the quintessential terror state of the world, where there is almost no regard for global human rights. Cutting to the chase halfway through, I began to see that all the food that we were given, he told me, come from people who worked really hard, but any given day or week or month, they could go to prison, unknown why, based upon the whims, dictates, machinations of the dictator. Just like he did to his son, General, 6 years in solitary, given a robe, a monk's robe next to the monastery. Wow, that's radical to do that to someone. So I began to have a new appreciation for context. I don't know about you, but there's so much emphasis on self-development. Get over it. Enough of it. How many more retreats do you need to do to work out your fucking upper middle class wealth? Okay, you got trouble with your BMW, you live in Marin County, you've got a diamond ring, you've been married 5 times, you got 700 grandchildren, you're rich, you're a philanthropist, I know you got stress. Do a little bit more mindfulness, see your stock options go off, Facebook. You know, it's like, fuck you white upper middle class clown. Indoctrinated in the capitalist big brother, okay? Let's plane it out. So, I got thrown out by the man who put me in prison. Given a pink slip. You got 24 hours to leave. No reason given. I think you've been talking to the wrong person when you should be fucking meditating. Is the message I got. I left, went to Canberra, got a new visa, got back in. Here I am. Thrown out again. A year later, back in, thrown out again. Eventually, thrown out, stayed out. Burma, 1988, August 8th, you may remember, a year before China's Tiananmen Square. They say up to 10,000 people were killed in a week in Burma. When the man who put my friend in prison ordered his soldiers who were indoctrinated in a toxic, masculine, violent belief, and all they wanted was peace and freedom and democracy, they knelt down. I was told like this, put their hands in front of their chest and said, "You're our brothers. all we want is freedom. And the man who put my friend in prison ordered those soldiers to shoot and shot. And they fucking killed 10,000 boys and girls, and some of them their own relatives, in the name of this thing called socialism as a disguised toxic dictatorship. Well, my friend became one of the revolutionary leaders. He said, no, we can't do this. He, Aung San Suu Kyi, a few other men and women got together, they formed the National League for Democracy, and they took to the streets non-violently, despite the fact of these incarcerations and violence. And they said, listen, there's a higher way, more secure for you, your wives, and your family than what you're doing. It's just an old habit. Killing's an old habit, primordial. Bad parenting, bad grandparents, we've all been embedded in this bullshit. It's a bad gene somewhere in the human psyche, I don't know. They went to prison again. 6 years later, they're released. I get into the country. I meet with him. Now he's been incarcerated for 12 years. I said, Utenu, what the hell is going on? Help. I want to help you people understand how I can do something for you. He said, well, I'll do all that I can to introduce you to Aung San Suu Kyi. Maybe there's something you can offer, whatever, but let me help. So I met her. We all decided to do a book together of conversations to bring to the world's attention the philosophy behind their nonviolence, which I found fascinating. Soon thereafter, he's arrested. 6 more years of solitary, 19 years altogether. The last quarter of the story. I asked him, I said, Utunu, you've spent 19 years now in detention. How do you get to prison? This is what he said. Paraphrase. He said, Alan, it is not easy. Remember that time we were walking on alms round with monks looking for food in the village and you had dysentery and you were just hunched over, yelling out like a good American that you're going to die. We got back to the monastery, you took antibiotics, you thought you were Jesus now. You could walk on water, you were so healthy. You ask what it's like to be in prison and how hard it is and what you do to get through. There are no medicines, he said. He wasn't melodramatic like me. Self-development, one really special place, one of the best vegetarian restaurants in the world. Look around at each other here. Pretty beautiful people, beautiful environment. No medicines. If I don't have a glass of wine in an hour, I'm done. Food tonight? No, you can't eat tonight. Oh, come on, what did I do wrong, God? Our island tip of comfort is so consistent. He goes on to say, no mosquito repellent, no bed, no pillow, no blanket, no toilet. No toilet paper? Come on. How do you get through 19 years of this shit? True stories. So he goes on and on and on. Be mindful. What are you supposed to do? Be unmindful? Sometimes you be present, sometimes you're unpresent. But pretty much, and I saw the value of our training, letting go of that which denigrates yourself. Remember how we were trained in that, Alan? Letting go of fear, letting go of anger, letting go of sorrow. Choosing love, choosing compassion, choosing generosity. Remember those days, Alan? I took it really, really seriously in prison. I practiced that as a monk, and it helped a lot. But it still didn't assuage the darkness of the hard times when it really got tough, he said. I still felt like a victim, like I wanted to be free, that they were doing something wrong to me. wrong to me. Emphasizing, life is not right. Life is wronging me. She's wronging me. He's wronging me. My dad wronged me. My mom wronged me. I'm not joking or creating some kind of lack of compassionate process for all that we need to do with each other. But he had no one to talk to about it. He felt himself to be a victim. His guard snuck in. He said, this has all been written and documented. You can read about it in the book. Some verses of Jesus. I knew nothing about Jesus. I was a Buddhist. They know not what they do. Conditions upon conditions, inherited from infinite conditions. They know not what they do. But I imbue that not knowing what they knew, and they did it to me. The victim psychology of projection, transference. I let go of it. And one of the ways I showed myself to relieve myself of the tension of that projection was that the food was so terrible. I began to give it to my jailers rather than eating it myself. I only ate one meal a day rather than two. And that generosity gave me a certain degree of comfort that I never knew, ever. Just think of that act. 19 years in prison. I'm asking, how do you get through? That act gave me something more immeasurably important than anything I've ever done. We're going to leave here in a few minutes. Forget everything. I said it yesterday, my mom died at 96 with hands like that. Alan, you got hands that work. Do something, give something to someone, touch people, ask permission, love them. But use your body, use your mind, the act of redemption, all that you think you need to do to meditate yourself through it, can be given to you by dhamma, generosity, the act of caring. But still, he said, the darkness was too much. He ends with this. The Burmese, especially the men and the women, together, they're super intimate. He grabbed my hand like this. We're in Aung San Suu Kyi's compound. He said, Alan, when it really got hard, and he closed his eyes, he said, I would call forth from a memory of love. I would bring to my mind's eye a memory, say, of my wife. And I would do everything meditatively as we did in observing consciousness in our bodies. I would bring to, and I'm using my phrase, panoramic, highly pixelated, poetic, organic, aesthetic, intimate perception. Like we're looking at each other right now. That level of acuity inside of a moment of love with someone that you really had. He brought her to high present time presence, a particular moment, not in general. He said to me, I would see her eyes, I would see the color of her eyes. You weigh that across 19 years of suffering. I would smell her. I would hear her words. He's holding my hand, I'm breaking my finger. He's like, I thought I'd re-traumatized. He's recalling this with that level of dedication and reverence. And I would feel the emotion that we had for one another of love. I would enter that field of love. He said he would bring it out, let it suffuse his body. The memory of love brought from the past into the present. And And he burst open with his eyes. He said, it was the ability that I had to mindfully take a moment of love from the past, re-inhabit it in the present, feel its intrinsic nature of love and warmth now. And it's that warmth that got me through the darkest times. Why do I share this story? Mindfulness is a little bit sterile. Beautiful as it is, but there's nothing that seems to compare, I can say it this way, to the power of looking, making human contact with the plant, with food, with your body, with your image, with your voice, with your energy, with your past, with the moment of, we don't know each other. But may it be that one of these moments today are one of those moments that we recall when we confront fascism, or we're at our own death, or that we're inhabiting some place of darkness, that we need to draw strength from an epic story of a radical revolutionary freedom fighter rooted in the tradition of mindful intelligence. Why is it important to be present? It may very well be at the evolutional survival and the expression of the highest frequency of Dhamma, is to love into the wonderment of the now. By not negating the past as the past, it's just the past. How often we've heard that? It's just thought. Cute man. It's my being, it's my life. And who among us is going to deny the beauty of the future? The Iroquois, or the American Indians, or the indigenous of Australia, or all over the world, often thought of behaviors and their impact 7 generations out. Who could ever have figured out that that burning methane coming out of the earth was something that would be lethal? We all wanted to be warm. We can't blame life and cars and manufacturers and corporations. We're in a very diabolical context. What I see today, and I'll end with it, at the end of the day, the beginning of tomorrow, is the power of love. I don't know what that means, really. I don't want to know what it means. I want to know that I'm an evolutional with the beauty of what that meaning feels like. And I want to know that I can't do it on my own. He's basically saying, I could not do it on my own in solitary confinement. I had to draw upon relationships. And that's the most important thing meditatively that I can see. That meditation isn't a solitary act as much as it is a relational way of shared life. And I treat this one, I treat this lady, I treat this person with the same elegance that I would treat myself. And I dare have the courage, and I pray, only accountable. May you be the one who offers that last morsel of food. Sad to say, possibly in our dying moments on this dying planet, and sharing that quality of caring so that we keep alive in the collective, wherever life is reborn post-extinction, the power of love. I didn't inherit it as much as I felt into it, the nature of the organic expression of my life. My mother, my parents, the earth. So I leave it with you. What do you want to contribute to the future of life? Not born. And let our meditation, our Dharma, be that connected by being that present here again. Really show up, Alan. Maybe I'll recall this woman's face in my own moment to bring the warmth where I can't bring it in on my own. So from my heart, really thankful for letting me be very passionate, open to the field, caring to the field. And if you, I don't know what time it is.
5 to about 5 to 6.
5 to 6? So, with these last 5 minutes, anything at all that you'd like to conclude with or ask or to say, you'll take a moment. And I'm happy to be here. Again, the retreat is on the 19th of November. If you've left your name and email, I'll send you some information about it soon. Otherwise, you can go to my website under alanClements.com on the schedule. You can read about it. If you are inclined, it's limited. There's a form there you can fill out that guarantees your space. You can explain what you want, how long, and so forth. You can stay there, or you can commute, or you can buy your drinks. I'm going to be there the whole time. It's a highlight of mine. Anything at all before we end? Oh yeah, I have to speak with you. And also in Burma, January 31st to February 9th, we have an annual 10-day classical asana mindfulness retreat. Very deep immersion in Buddhist mindfulness tradition, as taught traditionally by the nuns and monks in this monastery. So it took me and my colleagues nearly 2 or 3 years of meetings for them to agree to do something that was so short. Normally you have to come and stay for a couple of months. So if you're interested in that retreat as well, you're welcome to apply online. It's also on that page at the very bottom. And the last thing, which I'll end with, is that this is my last trip to Burma coming out from the plan. But after 43 years, I'm no longer going to be in Burma. And I'm going to end my tenure there by offering a tour about some of the more offbeat places in the country. And so by way of saying, if you're interested in a pilgrimage to parts of Burma that are generally not seen, there's also an application there that's loosely presented. It's almost filled. We have about 15 people already coming. But if you're interested in that, you can read about it, fill out the form, and I'll further communicate with you about that. That's February 10th to about February 20th. And that's it. I have books. A Future to Believe In. If you're asking about a book, I find it a very interesting book. Instinct for Freedom is my memoir about being in Burma. And that's about it. I do a weekly group, twice weekly group at USADA here in Ubud on Saturday at noon and Tuesdays at 2. They're also on my website. They're also offered freely. There's a meditation series where we actually sit in silence for 30 minutes. Progressively, so you can come to that. And we'll have another group here on November 10th, locally. And I also see people individually or privately if that's something I'm interested in doing. You can go to my website and see that. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you around Ubud BALI Oct. Thank you for coming out and listening to me. I appreciate your presence and the time that you have given to be here. If there's anything I've said that's caught you in the wrong way, know that I'm human. Please forgive me. Allow me to be frail and unclear at times. And the same with you. If you've communicated anything knowingly or unknowingly, I'd like to leave here with tremendous respect between us. And thank you. Thank you.